Welcome. We are a mother-daughter podcast about all things surrogacy. Together, we have brought 8 beautiful babies into this world, and we would like to share through education and knowledge about surrogacy with those who want to educate themselves on the topic. This is Stop.Sit.Surrogate.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Stop.Sit.Surrogate with Kennedy and Ellen. We have a wonderful guest today. She's going to share her story with us. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Sara. I am a one-time gestational carrier who finished my delivery in November and am on just like the last few days of lactation. I maybe had my last pump session 48 hours ago. I'm not sure.
Yay!
But I think so.
Wow. So cool.
Wow, November. So November of 24.
November of 24. Yes. The Sara baby is
6 months. A little over 6. Yeah. Wow.
Wow.
They get fun at 6 months. Wow, they get fun.
That's when it's worth it.
so cute. The little hairs going little, like little pigtails and little inch-long pigtails. It's just adorable.
Their little expressions, their little personality starts to show.
Cute.
Such a happy little girl.
Aww. Sweet.
Okay, well then our always fun question to ask is, how did you find out about surrogacy?
So before I really dove into the surrogacy world, I thought maybe I was unique, and it turns out I'm not unique at all, which is okay. But like a ton of people about my age, it was from Phoebe from Friends.
Funny.
I was about 10 years old when that episode aired, and that was a regular, daytime TV. Everybody had the TV on all the time in the house. And I can distinctly remember seeing that episode and thinking, that is the coolest thing in the world. I have to do that someday. 10 years old. Okay.
Wow.
And the feeling never left me. It was like a recurring theme throughout my life. I talked about it with people here and there. And then in college, I wrote, I had to do some large essay research paper or something, and it was on surrogacy. And so at that time, I don't remember how old I was, maybe 20, probably about 20 years old at that point. And I can remember just like a couple times it coming back up. And so then finally I was, however old was I, already 35, I guess, laying next to my husband. And so let me back up for a second. We started dating when I was 19, my husband and I, 19, and he was 21.
Wow.
And I remember on one of like our first dates, which is really just like you're hanging out at the park because what do you do? You don't have any money,
Aww.
And I remember telling him, like, there's something that you need to know about me. Yeah. I'm going to do this someday. And he was like,
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, fine. Like, I won't just like sign up on some random registry, but if a friend or a family member asks me, I'm going to say yes. And he was like, okay, he was on board. So fast forward, 16 years later, and nobody asked me. I mean, I even like went fishing a couple times. I had offered a friend of mine who was eventually, after several attempts, able to have her baby via IVF, which of course, that's what you want, right? You want them to be able to do it for themselves. And I was sitting there one night and I just looked over to him and I was like, it's time. I'm advanced maternal age. I'm 35. I'm old. If I'm going to do this, I have to do this now.
Yeah.
So that is my journey to surrogacy.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. I love that. I do. I'm a huge Friends fan, and I just for those that saw the Friday Facts, it's so funny because the photo that I have on there is like the one where like it's like surrogate, the one where we like have a baby for someone else or something like that.
Not a baby, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And I love it. No, I love Phoebe, and it was always so we're roughly around the same age, me and you then, because I was just a little bit under 10 when I saw that. And it was funny because you already had the triplets? Well,
2002. So
no,
I don't know.
maybe after.
I don't
No, that because that episode aired in 1998.
Yeah.
Okay. So I hadn't had them yet. Okay. There we go.
But it was always so fun to compare those as I got older. Like, look, wait, that triplets, and you didn't have them the right way, and that's so
Yeah,
weird.
no,
Like
no.
piecing all the pieces together. But wow,
She
so
barely cut a sweat having those triplets.
Right. She's
I'm
like,
like,
oh,
what?
here comes another baby.
yeah, like no big deal.
And then when she's holding them all and saying, I had the most fun with you guys. And
I
I'm
know.
like, they're like 6 and 7 pound babies. That
Yeah, they were big
they're with
babies.
triplets. Hold on
Yeah.
a minute.
Like the
Yeah.
little high fives.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
so cute though. It was well done.
Yeah.
It was well
But
done.
that's so okay. So when you were 19, that
Yeah.
was like, this is like make or break it, dude. Like this is gonna happen. Like get on board
Gosh.
or there's the door.
Yep. So
I
I
love
knew he was
that.
a keeper from early on. Although, like I said, he was not really into me doing, anything. He's like, if it's for someone we know. And then
Okay.
eventually it was, in fact, not for someone that we knew.
All right.
Okay. So then how did you
Yeah.
meet the couple
Couple.
or person?
So I did go through an agency. I utilized the services through Surrogacy is
Uh,
when they were like 100% advocacy group.
yeah.
A girlfriend of mine had actually utilized their services about a year and a half prior. So it gave me the confidence that I needed to know that like I wasn't going to get scammed or taken
Yeah.
advantage of or all the other, TLC 60-minute true crime stories or things that you might hear about it. Okay. Yes. So my friend Cindy had utilized their services and they helped her find her first agency. She had this incredible journey. And I thought like, okay, I feel like I can trust this route. They do like all the research for you. I
Mhm.
really liked what they had to say. So I felt really comfortable and confident going that route. And so they hooked me up with really just actually, this is a little side story, but the first agency that I was paired with was brand new to them. Like I was one of the very first surrogates that ever got matched to them. And it was like so many red flags. It was very bad.
Once you got over there, it was red flags. Like they did the research and then it was the red flags, or no?
After, yes. And
Okay.
so they had said all these things. And so Surrogacy had taken them on as like a, yes, we would love to partner with you. And then
Right.
they weren't really meeting their end of the deal. Long story short, they basically had me, and I don't know how to advocate for myself yet, like first time
Yeah.
surrogate, I just am excited to match. And
Yeah.
they had me, basically on hold with this potential couple for a month when
Whoa.
supposed to tell the agency within, I can't remember, 24 or 48 hours or whatever after seeing my profile. That agency did it that way. They showed the IPs my profile first, and then if they said yes, they would show me the profile. So it's like a week's coming, I don't hear anything, I'm like having to ask for answers, I'm not getting good answers. Oh, they're out of the country. Oh, it was like, then drop them and move me on to somebody.
Right.
Anyways.
Right.
Right.
I went back to Surrogacy and was like, help, I feel like this is not right. I mean, there were many, many, many other things with that agency. And they were like, oh my gosh, no, that's not right. And so, after talking to a couple, so now like I'm on high alert, right? Like of agencies, like I don't trust anybody. I don't trust anything after all of these other things that I won't get into. I had talked with, I want to say maybe 3 other agencies and that did not quite work out before finally Surrogacy had sent me to a really, really sweet agency called Delivering Hope. And they were just a godsend. Everything that I was looking for. I mean, like my guard was up here and I just like, when something is meant to be, you just feel like the weight off of your shoulders. It just immediately felt like,
Good.
I just knew it was the right way to go. And so they had taken all of my, as any good agency should, all of my preferences. What are the things that are important to you? What are like the hard yeses and nos for you? What's really important? And within a couple weeks of, being, actually, I want to say it was like right when I entered matching, they sent me this profile. And right away I was like, these are people. Yeah, it was like match made in heaven. They met all of my personal criteria, but then there were all these other like little things that led me to just know, not even to believe, but to know for certain that these were the people that I was supposed to help.
Oh,
That's
very sweet.
awesome. Oh my
And they
God.
obviously felt the same way about you, right?
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yes.
Like godsend, here's our dream come true
Yeah.
person. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay. I just have a real quick question. The other three agencies that you went to, did Surrogacy is send you there or did you do that on your own?
Yeah, they had said, like they had encouraged me to, hey, we think this might be a good fit for you. Talk with them there,
Okay.
and they would tell me like a little something about that agency, like reasons why they partner with them, why they like them, what other surrogates have to say about them.
Okay.
And one of those agencies initially I thought was going to be a great fit, had a great chat with their intake coordinator for like ever. I mean, I had just like told her everything that I went through with that other agency that didn't work out. Like I was like, wow, this person, I mean, that's what a good intake coordinator
I
does,
was
right?
literally, that's where my brain's going. I'm like,
Yep.
that's their job.
Yep.
And then I basically got ghosted by that agency. They
What?
came because I said, one of the asks for me that I have been encouraged to advocate for things that are important to me was I wanted to be able to be compensated if I had a fourth degree laceration, and I wanted to be able to have pelvic floor therapy compensated. And
Sounds reasonable.
Those are
Like,
very reasonable compared to other things that I've heard.
I
yeah.
mean, I really didn't think I didn't know. I was like asking too much. I think some
No.
agencies do not like to add things to their benefits packages. They
Mm.
might be negotiable about like your overall base comp, but they do
Mm.
not like to, this is what I'm gathering, they do not like to change their actual benefits packages.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so that one basically ghosted me, which really was frustrating because I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I would have respected you a lot had you come back to me and said, this isn't going to be a good fit for us for whatever
Right.
reason.
Right.
Like
Okay,
create a
so that was
dialogue. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. I can respect that. I'll go look somewhere else.
Right.
A second one, basically, like I reached out to them and kind of the same thing, like, this is what I'm looking for. And they actually turned around. They didn't even answer my message. They just turned around and told Surrogacy is, I don't think she's going to be a good fit for us. And so I was like,
Wow.
okay, maybe.
Sarah, I just want to take a second and I like just say that what you're asking is so nothing. Like
Nothing.
it's not effective to anybody at all.
And that's protecting you as an
I asked
individual.
for
If you
like
have
a
a
lot more.
fourth level laceration, not a second, not a third, but
Right.
the
Well,
big mamas, like the big mamas.
How did you, can
here's
I
the
ask how you knew
yeah,
to ask for that? Like
okay.
what that part exactly?
Aren't
Yes.
you labor
So
delivery?
the
Yeah.
pelvic floor therapy thing was important to me, just being in the birth world. So that's why I wanted to do that. The fourth degree laceration thing, actually, my friend who had gone through surrogacy is, she's
Mm.
also a labor and delivery nurse. And so she
Oh.
was like, I was going through these things and like, I think this is a major obstetrical complication and they have all these other complications on there. Like this should be covered. And so she put that bug in my ear and I was like, the third, her packages or previously her contracts listed compensations for third and fourth degree tears. And I just really personally felt strongly about the fourth degree tear. I would rather have a C-section than a fourth degree tear. You're talking people when they have messed up healing. This affects your sex life forever. It affects urination. It affects like how you're pooping. You can end up pooping from your vagina if you have a fistula, which is like passageway between your rectum and your vagina. It could, you could have surgical repairs. I mean, this can take months and months of healing.
Yeah.
Scar tissue. Yes.
Civilian question because the nurses are here.
Oh,
No,
geez.
but so a fourth degree tear, is that like the scary tear that everybody talks about? Like it's the whole thing. It's like just one line.
One
It
to
just
the other.
hurts talking about it. God dang. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And so the thing about it is, in reality, sometimes it looks intact on the outside and the tear is actually deep inside the vagina. So like sometimes the doctors don't catch it right away, depending on like if the tear is just vaginally and not perineally. So this just said fourth degree tear, which kind of covered both of those. And so then the question is always like, well, what do you think is a fair compensation for that? And I'm like, I wasn't ready for that question. I
Yeah.
don't know. Like, I'm
Yeah.
in this industry, And so I said, if I would rather have a C-section than a fourth-degree tear, then I think that the comp should be the same.
Same.
And
Absolutely.
yeah.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Yep.
Yeah, same. Yeah, right.
I was
Exactly.
encouraged to say that people were like, yeah, I think that's fair.
That
Because
is
the
fair.
way I felt about it is, if I don't have the tear, the IPs don't have to pay for anything.
Right. Just like
Right?
the C-section. If you don't have the C-section, they
You
don't
have to pay for
have to
it.
do that
Right.
additional compensation.
Right.
So,
Protecting you. That's weird.
I knew this agency was going to be a great fit for me. I mean, right away, like I said, everything, but even just like when I brought that up, I was like nervous to say it because
Aw.
Jared had these other experiences.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, in fact, I don't know why that's not a part of our package already.
Wow.
Okay,
Wow.
thank you for like validating that this
Look
is
at you changing their benefit package. Way to go, Sarah. Yeah.
They
Wow.
also changed their wording for their wellness package to include that you can use your services for
Nice.
pelvic floor therapy.
Nice.
Wow.
Because a lot of these benefits packages will list like you can only use it for XYZ thing.
Right.
And so they expanded mine to be able to utilize those services
Good.
for that.
Very
Good.
nice. And
Yeah,
I
you
also know
should.
that like I've had it where for the wellness packages, that's new. Like this journey and my previous journey, that was a thing. My first two journeys, that was not a thing. So, but with one of the agencies, they were like, so like what do you want to use it on? Like and decide that before we go forward. And I'm
Wow.
like, I don't know what I want to do.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Right. What can I use it on? Maybe
Yeah.
I'm going to need a massage therapist. Maybe I'm going to want acupuncture. I don't know,
Right, I don't know in the moment.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
Pregnancy is different. Yep. Wow.
Wow. Good for you. I'm glad that
Yeah.
you stuck to your guns on those because
Yes.
those are, I would have never, ever, ever thought of the fourth degree tear. Only by doing this podcast have I learned how important pelvic floor therapy is. But those are big. Those should be standard.
And it can change your life forever. The fourth
Forever.
degree tear. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. There's no like surgery. Sorry, I'm gonna like
Yeah. Episiotomy.
divert. No, but I'm saying there's no surgery that can like fix it.
Oh.
It can sometimes require surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're ripping and you're tearing and it's all jagged, and that's really hard to clean that up and get a nice suture in there. So with me, they just episiotomied, like, and I wasn't even asked. Like,
It's
really
very
happened to you?
unethical.
Very unethical. Yeah.
That's considered a surgical procedure. And so
Correct. My first baby, it wasn't even a surrogate baby, and they didn't even ask, and he just went, whoop, and I went, what was that? Yeah, I'm like 21. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. And
I
then
didn't know that you had that.
hell yeah. And then they sewed it up. And now I have, because I got pregnant with the triplets, and that was a super heavy pregnancy. Like from 6 weeks on, I felt like I was carrying 100 pounds. It was such a heavy pregnancy that the last stitch on my episiotomy opened up. So now I have a hole on my perineum. I do. It's super fun when I go pelvic teach, because I pelvic teach. And I wait for them to find it. Oh, what's this? I'm like, good for you. You found that. But they all want to say it's a fistula. It's not a fistula. It's a little hole. And my doctor puts a Q-tip in it every single time. And he goes, yep, just a hole, just a hole. I'm like, okay. And he could stitch it back up, but I'm like, no, leave it. It's not bugging anybody. Leave it.
there's nothing, if it's not
It's not
causing
tearing. Yeah. So that's a lot more than anybody needed to know about my pelvic area, but it is what it is.
But this is the thing, we have ASRM guidelines, we have the industry standards.
Yeah.
Why isn't this a standard? But
Right.
I think sometimes people in the industry who want to do the right thing, if they don't know that a thing can happen or how frequently it is, we all talk about, hysterectomy, loss of tubes or limbs or
Right.
whatever.
Big things.
But
Yeah.
other things, we talk about that maybe are a little bit more frequent. Fourth degree laceration is thankfully fairly rare, but
Yeah.
I mean, I've been doing this for 12 years and I have seen a handful of them, and thank goodness I'm not one of them. I would call that person like a survivor. It's
Oh, poor
Yeah.
thing.
I am now terrified to give birth.
Oh, stop.
That's so scary.
you don't get a fourth degree tear on your
For the like fifth baby.
Yeah.
no, I mean, unless you suddenly are pushing out a 10, 11-pound kid and you
Right.
had 6-pounders before,
Wow.
Yeah. You'll be
But
not
that's-
likely to happen to you.
That's crazy. I do know now that like the episiotomies are so like they're only done by like the ancient doctors. Like I've heard of like a horror story and my girlfriend had an ancient doctor and he was like, "Meow," and she was like, "Are you kidding?" Like,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that was only a couple like, 10 years ago. So, yeah.
Only
That's
in emergencies now,
Yeah.
like where I'm at, we have a less than 1% episiotomy rate.
Wow.
that's
That's
great.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll track it back. This was like
Yeah, we're so sorry.
wildly,
Here we go.
wildly informative on so many levels of the TMI, but it's all good. No, so okay, so you're so you found your agency and
Yeah.
you get matched. Did you guys meet in person or did you guys just like meet online?
So the match meeting was done on Zoom with the agency owner present.
Okay.
And then
Can I back up for 1 second?
yeah.
How long was the process from the time you contacted Surrogacy is
Mm.
till you got with an agency? You don't have to say till the match because I know that takes but was it 4 months, 6 months, longer?
Yeah, so I started with Surrogacy in January of 23. I
Okay.
was matched with the first agency in February. I want to say it was only like maybe 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
Yes.
And then after I let that go on way too long, eventually was with Delivering Hope. I want to say it was
Oh, it's not too
May.
bad. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
right. I mean, I feel like, gosh, like I lost all this
Yeah.
time, it feels because everything in a journey feels like it takes so long. But I'm like, oh, that was, it was
Forever.
like
Yeah.
three and a half months, that I
Okay.
kind of wasted this direction. But I mean, I was able to transfer some of my stuff, like my, what do you call it? I already had my medical records collected. Had, some other things, a home visit, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Able
Okay.
to transfer
good.
some of it to speed up along the process after I moved over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So the Zoom meeting, right?
Yeah, so you meet on Zoom and you both are like, yes, we love each other. We
Love
want
each
to go
other.
forward. Can I ask, is this like a heterosexual couple?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So I had a husband-wife couple.
Was that an ask of yours?
Yeah, it was. When I had this vision of what surrogacy was going to look like for me, I thought about like those people that, maybe tried and couldn't have a baby, or really what I felt really strongly about that was I looked at my girls and I look at what my husband and I have, and I just wanted that for my surrogate baby. And I by no means think that like a family means, has to be this traditional thing.
Right,
But I
yeah,
looked at
no.
what we have and I thought, I want that for my surrogate baby.
Aw.
I want, and, I requested that they be, married and in a long, steady relationship, and I just wanted my surrogate baby to have like the same
Stability.
awesome that I feel my little family has.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Amazing.
I got it. And actually these IPs got married around the same time that my husband and I did.
Aw.
They're almost exactly the same age as us, both born in the same years. The mom is the
Wow.
same year as me. The dad is the same year as my husband.
Wow.
And they had started their journey to family making when I got pregnant with my girls. And so it just was one of those things where I was like, oh my gosh, it just brought tears to my eyes.
Yeah.
You should have a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
Right.
You-
Wow.
It hits you differently when you hear stories like that and you can relate on those types of levels. It's
Right.
like hits like the middle of your heart. It's like, what? Like that
So
doesn't seem
sad.
right.
I'm almost a decade into parenting and
Right.
you've been trying this whole time.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I've got, fourth, almost fifth graders, and you just want a baby all this
Yeah.
time.
Right.
So that was one of those many things, like
Mhm.
there were so many things where
Aw.
these are my people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So within 5 minutes of each of us getting off the phone,
So cute.
we both had texted the agency to say
Nice.
it's a yes.
Oh, that's
I
awesome.
knew right away that
Awesome.
that we were matched,
Oh
which
my
was pretty,
God.
rather than like, sometimes people take, which is fair, take
Yeah.
a day or so to think about it,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
no, both right away, like,
That's
yeah.
great.
do it.
That's how you know it's good.
Yeah, you do,
Yeah.
because you hit it off. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was just on so many levels. That's awesome. That's
And then
awesome.
as far as meeting in person, we
Yeah.
met so this agency allows, once we were officially matched,
Mhm.
they allowed us to exchange information and begin to talk privately, versus I know some agencies don't allow you to do that until after legal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that should not be a thing. You should be able to
you should be
talk
able to talk.
after you match. I have lots to say on that, and I won't go on a rant, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm
I agree
really
with her. Yeah.
grateful. So one of the things this agency feels very strongly about is like relationships, relationship building that they have with the surrogate, that they
Yeah.
really want the IPs and the surrogates to have relationships. They believe like in that strength
Yeah.
for having a supportive journey. And they're 100% right. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And so what was fun about that is coincidentally, these IPs actually only live a few hours away from me. And so for the medical screening, we met for the first time in person at my medical screening. We went down
Wow.
the night, and they had even said, like, if you're not comfortable with that, that's totally fine. But we actually stayed the night at their house.
My God, how nice.
Yeah. So
That's super sweet.
Wow. That was quick.
Yeah.
yeah, it was cool. I know. I was like, gosh, wow, like
Wow.
first date, spending the night, you know?
Right? Wow.
Move fast over here. No, but
Yeah.
that's very cool. So when was that? How long after you guys matched was that, do you think?
Okay. So we matched officially, I think it was in the middle of July.
Okay.
And
So
it took
January,
forever, I feel like, to hear back from their clinic,
Yeah.
which is why we didn't officially match until July.
Okay.
And then so then I like wasn't hearing from the clinic and I'm like, what is going on? Well, it turns out that the agency usually does psych screening after medical screening. And
Okay.
this clinic had been waiting for them to send them psych screening. So they weren't sending me med screening dates because they didn't get psych. So it was like just this, nobody was talking to each other. It was just a mess
Wow.
of miscommunication that finally I was like, okay, it's been like 3 weeks. Like, when are they gonna? Anyways,
Yeah.
so the agency followed up on it and they took on onus as like, we
Good.
had an assumption and, so okay, no big deal. I did psych screening like the next day, got it over with, got
That's
me a
great.
medical screening date for the end of August, I believe it was.
Oh.
And everything was going great, except I had a polyp, just one
Oh.
Okay.
one little polyp, itty bitty little guy.
Yeah.
And so, they can't technically clear you until that gets removed.
Huh.
So here I am thinking that I'm a labor and delivery nurse. Like, I'm just going to call an OBGYN and have them pluck the thing out. Like,
I love it.
just be
No
done,
way.
right?
Right.
Like, I have the hiccups.
It's hilarious.
I was wrong. So it just took so long to, well, first of all, that OBGYN that I was planning to go with at that time ended up semi-retiring. She does like hormonal replacement therapy and really wonderful other things now, but basically I like wasn't able to use her. And so I was in a delivery one day, doctor I really like. And I stepped outside the room and I said to her, I was like, so you want to pull a polyp out of my uterus? She's like, yeah, let's do it. What are we doing?
No way.
So I got myself a new OBGYN.
Love it.
Who I just adored anyway. So it was like, okay, well, I guess you're going to be my doctor now. But because of surgery schedules, I work at a very, very large hospital. There was nothing available for another 3 weeks. So then I had another 3 weeks to get on the schedule just to get this. I only had one itty bitty teeny tiny polyp.
Wow.
So finally had to get that out. And then a few days later, they sent the pathology off. It was fine. Everything was good. And then I was finally cleared like the first week of October.
Oh,
Wow, that's
okay. So that's a
long.
little bit of a journey. Yeah. You have to wait. You poor thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I've never encountered one, knock on wood. So polyps, the only way you can remove them is through surgery.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Like she said, send them out for pathology. They need to make sure they're not cancerous so that they're, whatever, benign,
Got it.
malignant, what have you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. I love being on here with two nurses. It's so great. I have my information. So then you get medically cleared, and then do you get to do psych?
So I did. They had the
She did that
clinic
first.
psych
Oh, you
before
did get to do that first.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
Next
so
day,
sorry.
yeah.
Got it. So
Past
now
that.
you're fully cleared. So now you get to do
Yeah.
legal. Is legal done before the holidays?
Yeah, I know.
Oh
Oh no! No!
This
What's
is literally
going
the worst part of my whole journey.
no. Oh
Like,
no.
other than the beginning stuff with that like bad agency,
Yeah.
legal, and I to this day do not understand why my legal was 14 weeks.
What?
What?
I don't
Are
get it.
your lawyers slow? I hate to put it on them, but that's
Did they take a whole
literally,
month off at the holidays? Like what?
yeah.
I heard a few different things. My lawyer was not. I felt like I reached out to her, boom, she would get back to me within 24 hours every time. She was super easy to talk to. Their lawyer, I've heard this person's name many times. I think she's pretty popular as far as California um, lawyers go. And so I thought, like, great, like this lady's gonna turn it around, spit it out. Well, first of all, my IPs had originally had another lawyer. So part of the very brief delay was they had last minute decided to change their lawyer. So they weren't ready to like deep dive in with somebody because they were.
What is these looks you're given?
Okay, so it took forever. My
It took
goodness.
forever. It was multiple things. I had heard that their lawyer was for like 2 weeks at some conference out of the country. I heard and it was the holidays was part of it. I really just wanted to have it done before Christmas. And like, I even made like a little reel that was like, all I want for Christmas, the music was my surrogacy contract completed, and it was not. And I was just confused because I was like, we don't have, like, we're in agreement. Like,
You're not going back and forth.
No, like a couple little things, like I have guinea pigs. And so they had added, to make sure I was wearing gloves when I cleaned the guinea pig cage. Okay, totally. Yes, absolutely.
Sure.
Like little things like that. It was nothing like, we did not have anything contentious at all. Which is why I was confused, because I'm like, at one point I started like making up stories in my head thinking like, do they want to break match? Is it because I'm a California registered nurse? Like, I'll just say it how it is. We're the highest paid nurses, and especially in like where I live, in the nation. Like, is that part of it? Is it that they're realizing like, where lost wages might be concerned, which by the way, I almost have none, but I just started making up these stories because I wasn't hearing why is this taking so long? I'd ask the agency, they would kind of reach out. And I think a huge part of it that I really just didn't understand at the time is a lot of California surrogates have liens on their insurance. Yeah. And my insurance is employer sponsored, which means like I can't have another insurance be my primary. This is the insurance for my family through my employer. And it has a 100% lien on my surrogacy compensation. So I think that was part of the delay and my attorney later told me, she's like, the way that we have things worded right now, technically the IPs could sign it and move forward before they have this insurance thing figured out. But they really wanted to have things like figured out before they sign. And I respect that. I really do. They're very intelligent people. They're very like thorough, and which I love, because I'm very much the same way. But I don't really feel like I understood that well at the time, what was going on. I didn't know what a Lloyd's of London policy was. I didn't know you could have I didn't know what these cash pay type of insurance, well, they're not really insurance, right? Like, I just didn't know any of that. And so I felt
they're so new. That's why. Because
I felt lost.
New.
Like, okay, well, I can't have, like, I had gone into this assuming that like my insurance will pay 100% of the surrogacy. Like it will cover surrogacy.
Wow.
With a 100% lien. So if I were doing it, pro bono for my sister or something, like my insurance wouldn't seek any compensation. But because I'm being compensated, they would thought a refund of their services that they paid for.
Okay, but also, because in my head, right? But that means that they're not paying for insurance, right? They wouldn't have to pay, like with me, my insurance doesn't cover surrogacy. Mm-hmm. So my IM had to purchase a policy for me. And on top of that, it has a lien. So she has to pay the lien on that too. So in my head, I'm like, okay, it could be worse. Like, it's still awful that there's a lien, but they're not paying for the insurance. They're just paying for the lien.
Because it's very good insurance that I have through my employer.
Okay. Well, I would hope
the lien is 100% of your compensation. Isn't that what you said?
Yeah.
Wow.
So then in escrow, not only do they have to, and by the way, again, my IPs have been at this 10 years. Okay.
Yeah.
So how much money has already kind of gone
in?
Right. Me considering like where they've, how IPs come to the decisions that they're making. Like sometimes we don't think about that. Like how much have they had to foot other places?
Right.
So I did, reach out to the agency owner who I talked to her some, a lot of times like you talk to like an agency contact, like a coordinator or something. I talked to the owner herself so many times. And that's what I really loved about that agency is I honestly could feel like I could just call her anytime. And she was very happy to talk to me. It was never like, oh, did you talk to your case manager? No, it was like, she was good. She gave me a ton of reassurance because I was like, are they thinking about, I just need to know, are they thinking about breaking the match? Because I just want to mentally move on. If they are like, I'm going to be devastated. It'll be fine. Yes, I've already been at this process for a year. It's whatever. If I need to move on, she was like,
oh yeah,
that's not a thing here. No, that's not what's going on. And I'm like, but then what's going on?
Right.
right.
So it was, I think, again, multifactorial, really just wanting to have the insurance situation figured out because we had gone into it thinking, I mean, at least I thought that they were going to be using my insurance with maybe buying like a secondary to cover any like bed rest policies, things like that. I don't know. All I know is insurance is the devil. And it just was,
it's so dumb
thing. I mean, all the timing, like I say, worked out beautifully in the end. And that's what's most important. But in the moment, I just felt very confused and
frustrated.
You see these people that are getting through legal in like 2 weeks, 4 weeks, because everybody's like gung ho and ready to go. And here I am just wondering if like
months,
it's almost 4 months. Like if you
that's a really long time, especially because what goes through my head right now is especially since it was October-y time, right? That's when they're open. That's when open enrollment is, right? I'm not crazy. Yeah.
No, you're right.
So you would think that would be the better scenario, but whatever, it is what it is. It happened.
It happened. It worked out. It was a day I thought would never come. And it was really cute when we notarized the contract. I had sent a picture of the IP because, you have to like thumbprint. So like I sent a picture of my black thumb and they had gone down, I think the next day, so that they could go together. And they sent me a picture of their black thumb. I was like,
sweet.
Yay, another milestone.
Very cute.
Yeah.
So then from legal to when do you transfer?
So then I transfer in, it was the very beginning of March. I think it was March 6th. So after that, then I did the medication thing.
What was your protocol? Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. So they started me just on the oral estrase. I think originally it was, I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 times a day. And then at my first like lining check after, I had been taking the meds for a few weeks, it was my lining was only a 6, or 6 or 6.5, maybe something like that. So they increased my estrase, had me go back a week later. I can't remember now all the details. I wrote it all down in my journal.
Okay.
And then it was only like 6.7. I don't know. It was still shy, and I was still low. Ugly crying in my car because like my IPs have been through and now my lining's not thick enough and like so the clinic was real cute. The lady goes like, we don't give up that easy. I want you to take the same pills to keep taking the estrase how you were, which I think at that point was like 3 times a day. She says, but you're going to additionally morning and evening put one of those pills
suppositories
for vaginally. So it's a pill though, right? So then I got to experience the swamp crotch thing. Yes, the blue-green discharge thing. And they had me go back 3 days later. And I was so nervous because I'm like, how am I going to get from 6 point something to 8? The clinic.
You can do it, girl. You could do it.
I was 8.0.
Yay!
So
there you go.
Right after that, they had me starting that same day on the PIO, which I had mine in. It was in ethyl oleate. And so, a lot of surrogates complain about like knots and bruising and like just welts and this kind of stuff in their hips. And I think because it was in this compounded version, I didn't get that. Like it just went in really smoothly. Nice. Like I didn't have to warm it up. It wasn't as thick. So, and the reason I know this is because one time I did not order a little bit more in time. And so then I had to go to the like pharmacy across the street last minute. They had to like I totally screwed up. But anyways,
You're not the only one.
my intended mom was like, don't worry about it. I've done that before. Cause she's done several egg retrievals.
Aw.
She's like,
Right.
definitely done that before. It's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. You know, but I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, I want you to trust me. And I just had miscalculated because I'm like doing the math, like, oh, well,
Right.
there's 10 mils
Right.
in here. To be if I'm 1 ml a day, 10 days. I don't know how it didn't math out. It didn't, whatever. So anyways, that one, like the one that I got from the regular pharmacy, was thicker.
Yeah.
For sure. It was harder to draw up. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, now I see why people have to like warm it up in their bra or like sit on it
Yeah.
or do what people
Yeah.
do. Yeah. So thankfully I only had to do a couple doses of that before I got some more really good stuff. Yeah. So 5 days later we were transferring.
What?
And
That is quick.
yeah. So
So your med protocol was
easy.
almost nothing.
Yeah, just some pills. Like I said, I had to pop a oh yeah, and then once my lining was 8.0, they said, okay, stop doing the vaginal one, just keep doing the orals. So I only did the swamp crotch thing for a few days.
Wow.
Yeah. And then so then I started on the PIO 5 days before transfer, and I did have to continue on all of those meds, the injections and the pills until 10 weeks.
Right.
Till graduation.
Wow. Good for you.
Yes. So no patches, no other suppositories.
Nice.
No other pills.
Nothing. Like this is easy.
I mean, like I took aspirin and prenatals.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
those
but no, but your med protocol sounds like a dream.
does sound like a dream.
Very straightforward. I'm very grateful for that. It kind of makes me like a next journey. Like I know sometimes they have you taken this or that other thing.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
If you're with a different clinic, you ain't gonna have anything the same.
I know.
It's all different.
I'm ready for it. It's
Gosh.
yeah. So the first transfer took.
Yeah. How many did they transfer?
Yeah.
Single embryo transfer. I was very adamant about that. And thankfully, actually, the IPs very much were too. And their clinic only does single embryo transfer. So kind of we were all on the same page anyway with that. I joke that like I did my time. I have twins. I didn't want to do
you're
that.
so cute. That's right.
Like when people are like, oh, it would be cool to carry twins. I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah. Isn't it cool to carry triplets? Yeah. It's all right.
Don't romanticize this stuff. I had a healthy twin pregnancy. I'm lucky. I'm blessed. I would not sign up to do that. If I had a splitter, I would have said, God, that's funny. Okay, let's do this. But like, okay, so
but not to like add to it like at the beginning. Yeah, I'm the same way. If it splits, it splits. But there's no way I'm gonna carry 4. Like if both of them split, you're out of your mind.
Right? No, thank you.
No.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
Okay. So then how does your pregnancy go?
Wait. No, I want to hear first. I want to hear how did the parents know that you're pregnant? How does that happen?
Okay, so we had talked about at the transfer, I asked them, do you want me to test? And if I test, do you want me to tell you the results? And they had a previous surrogate that didn't work out. And so she said, we did that with the previous surrogate. And they had, unfortunately, obviously, failed transfers or chemicals or something like that. And so she's like, if you want to, go ahead. We're not going to try to pretend that that we can tell you to or to not test. They were very chill. She's like, but I think we'll probably just wait. Because she's like, you can tell us if you want to, if you get something, but I think we'll just wait for the betas to really say one way or the other. I'm like, that's cool. And so I had, I have some really good, I have very good support system. So I had a friend of mine who would every day was like, do you feel pregnant? Are your boobs full? Are you feeling every single day. And so this one particular friend of mine was checking in on every symptom. So we were talking back and forth and I was like, I really wanted to wait until closer, maybe to a day or two before my betas to test. But then I'm on this group and all these girls are getting 3 and 4 day post transfer positives. I'm like, wow, okay, I don't think I'm going to do 3, but I'm going to try a 4. And it was negative. The 4 day was negative. Okay. I was like, you know what? That's cool. That's fine. my next test on day 5 was super positive, right? Yeah. So I took a picture of it and I texted it to this friend and she's like, are you going to tell the IPs? You have to tell the IPs. And I'm like, well, this was the conversation. I don't know. I don't want to upset them. I don't want them.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to be respectful of what their experience has been. And, I want to say that lasted all of like 10 minutes.
So funny.
Well, you're excited and you're excited for them and like,
Gonna change their lives. Yeah.
And I remember looking at the test going like, it works. Like, it worked.
Funny.
What? How does this work? Like, I know logically, but I'm like, I can't believe it worked.
Yeah.
So, they had a cautious optimism. And so then when we were going in to do the betas, it was very sweet that IM had sent me a text that said, like, regardless of what happens today, like, we know you've been amazing. You've done all this stuff. Like, we appreciate you so much.
Sweet.
And so I, of course, was doing progressive tests because
you got it.
Kids don't do that. Yeah. And so I didn't text them. At this point, I had only texted them the original positive. Okay. So at this point, I've done a 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 days. So I have 5 days worth of tests that are getting progressively darker. Yay. And so I had sent her a picture and I said, I just have a good feeling about this.
Aww.
The progression line.
Yeah.
That's very
so
sweet.
Of course it came back. I was very pregnant.
Yay.
I love that.
And are they able to get excited? Or are they still just optimistic? Caution? Yeah.
They are excited. Like there's, some jokes and some laughter about it, but still just, we'll see if we have a heartbeat. It's all this like, we'll see as we get there.
Got to get to the next step to be able to take another breath and then the next one to take another one. And
it's just, my response to them was just, like, I'm just celebrating each little milestone that we have together, for what it is. Because in my head, I was like, I don't want to miss the celebration because of all the what ifs. Like right now, this is a happy time. And while maybe I totally respected that maybe they weren't ready to experience that joy, I was. And so I'm happy. And I'm going to be okay with me being happy and celebrating that. And also being okay with their reservations.
Yeah. And you can be happy for everyone. Like you can be the extra happy and just be like, yep, we all love you and we're here for you, little bean, like, let's go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not gonna lie, when I got to the heartbeat scan, I was, please just be one, please just be
Oh. Did you think maybe it was 2? Like, were you like, was your beta getting like crazy?
No, I mean, it was like normal. It was normal rise and betas, but it was also not on my radar at all when I had my own twins. So I'm like, well, now it's on my radar because been there, done that. Like, it couldn't have, identicals, there's no predisposition to having more, right? It's just this random thing in science. We don't really know why happens, versus like the fraternal twins where a woman can hyperovulate. So I knew that the chances of a recurring identical twin pregnancy were probably low, but it definitely was like, I was holding my breath a little bit, but then there she was, just one little flickering heart. And they got to FaceTime in for that. So it was
really nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you know it was going to be a girl?
Yeah. Did they know?
Yes. So they had done like the testing and stuff. So they did know in advance.
Okay.
Yeah. She was just their healthiest embryo.
Oh,
way to go.
Yeah, awesome. So the whole pregnancy, you graduate, you do your OB. You get any hiccups along the way? Are you just smooth sailing?
I am one of those people that gets really sick early, probably about 7 weeks.
Okay.
And it just doesn't let up. So I was very nauseous the entire pregnancy. In fact, I was more nauseous this time than I was with my twins.
Wow.
So I had to take a couple medications this time. With the girls, I did take diclegis, but I didn't start it until 20 weeks because I was, stubborn first time mom. And so I just suffered and threw up for 20 weeks instead. Because I didn't want to take anything. Like, just trying to be careful. And so with this one, by 9 weeks, I was like, I need help. This is way more intense than I remember it being with my girls. And the diclegis wasn't cutting it. And it was like my miracle drug with them. So I'm like, why isn't this working? Like it helped, but it did not do the same thing that it did with me for them. And so eventually I did start taking, I want to say it was like 11 weeks when I started taking Zofran, which I didn't want to have to take, more medications, more side effects, very natural, if I can, but ginger doesn't help. Peppermint doesn't help. When you have real, like significant nausea and vomiting like that, like those things don't do the trick. And so, so I was very nauseous all the way until 36 weeks. My prescription ran out of the diclegis. The Zofran, I didn't have to take that long. I mostly just like the first, early second trimester. But the diclegis, I tried to stop taking it one day, threw up a few times, was like, okay, well, we still need that.
Wow.
So it ran out, and I really wanted to hand express for the IPs. I wanted to do like that antenatal hand expression, but I wasn't getting anything out because diclegis has like antihistamine in it, has in it. And so I think it was like kind of preventing the release of that, So, my prescription ran out. I was kind of nauseous for a day or two, and then it was gone. So I didn't need it anymore. And so then like a week later, I was able to express. Yeah. So that's a whole other story. But I also started getting like really bad heartburn. Tums did the trick, but that's awful. I mean, those are like normal pregnancy things. Yeah. And then at 13 weeks, I had some spotting, which made me super nervous because most people who get subchorionic hematomas have them in the first trimester. I guess technically 13 weeks, it was first trimester, but like usually I feel like people see them like 6 to 8 weeks, know? Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, but this is like bordering second trimester. It only lasted like a day. It was pink. I called the doctor. They're like, you're fine. Come in if XYZ. Exactly 1 week later, I woke up wet and went to the bathroom, sat down, felt a clot fall into the toilet, and was like blood dripping down my legs. And my husband and my kids were at my mother-in-law's, thank goodness, because we were supposed to have like this staycation, like plans. We, all this stuff, and instead it's like 5:30 in the morning, and I just said, "Baby, you gotta get up. I gotta go to the hospital."
Oh my gosh.
So I did have confirmed at that point a fairly large, I think they said like moderate to large subchorionic hematoma. Okay. So it was at 14 weeks. And so I was still able to go to work at that. Well, so it took me out of work for the week. Things kind of slowed down. It was just like brown after that. I was on like a modified duty at work. So no lifting, no, prolonged standing period. I work 12-hour shifts. So normally
you do.
They were able to give me like job duties that would allow me to not stress, out things during this time. Okay. And by my 20-week scan, it was gone.
Okay.
I have a big question. So because you're a nurse and on top of that, an L&D nurse, were you like calm? Like, were you able to be like reasonable and have like a level head? Because like I've had a subachronic hematoma and I was like terrified. I was like, what? And like, what does this mean? Is this a horrible thing? Like you said, you literally had a clot. Like I would have gone panic mode.
Yeah. I think honestly, it was from listening to all these podcast stories. I'm going to out myself right now. I've actually listened to every single one of your podcasts because I just fangirl, because I love listening to people's stories. I honestly have learned so much. I went all the way back to the beginning, like dropping stories, So it's so common with people. So then of course, because I am a nurse, I have some access to different like research, what's it called that I'm looking for? Like databases through my healthcare system that I'm able to look at stuff. So I went on something called Up-To-Date and I was looking through, and it's like something like 40% of IVF pregnancies experience subchorionic hematomas. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, this is common. I'm uncomfortable with it because it's happening to me, but it's common.
It's common. Yeah.
And like they resolve. And so I was reading a lot about the statistics and so I feel I'm one of those people that like knowledge is power. So the more I knew about it, even though I couldn't change my circumstances, it made me feel less anxious about it. I felt like,
you were able to stay calm.
Yes. Yeah. I'm like, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But I feel like the odds are in my favor. Like, I think we're going to be okay. And a week after that ER visit, I had gone to the doctor for a checkup and it was already starting to shrink. So it's like, okay, we're headed in the right direction.
Good.
Yeah. So I think it did help that I having just the access to that data to say and so many stories shared by other surrogates through like our little private surrogacy Facebook page. My case manager had also had subchorionic hematoma. She actually was pregnant at the same time that I was. Her transfer was a week ahead of mine. So it was really fun going through this, our journeys together. And she had also had a subchorionic hematoma. It was her third journey, I think. And so she had it before too. So just having somebody that I could talk to that was like, this is my experience. This is how it panned out. Hopefully it's the same for you. And it was, So that was probably like the most like exciting, eventful thing.
Pretty exciting.
And after that, besides the nausea, which was like, horrible running theme throughout the whole thing. Otherwise smooth sailing. Yeah. Wow. It was good. No preterm labor, no preeclampsia.
Nice.
I had so I had a cold the week before my induction, and I am a big fat baby with colds. I am. I tell you, I go through a lot of stuff. I don't complain about like anything else. I hate having a cold, just the persistent, just okay. I had an OB appointment, and my IPs were going to be coming to town, and like I'm like at the last week of my pregnancy, right?
Yeah.
And so I did what I do, and I like looked up like what cold. Every surrogate does it. Every pregnant person does this. What cold medicine can I take?
Right.
And so I had looked up, the safety stuff, and for like children's Dimetap, I'm like, we have that. I just need to stop dripping. Like my nose is driving me crazy. And my appointment was 2 hours later. And so I go, and my blood pressure is like, it's like,
oh, look at me. My mom's over here. Like
blood pressure's up. Yep. There we go.
Because I'm an ignoramus. Okay. So I'm like reading the back of the Dimetap thing. So I'm trying to be like extra careful. I don't take like medicines for almost anything. I'm telling you, this cold had been going on. I was just losing my dang mind. I just need to go to this doctor's appointment and, come on. And I'm reading it, and it says like, don't take if you have high blood pressure. And I'm like, well, I don't have high blood pressure.
Right.
Why do you think it says that? Because it gives you high blood pressure.
It can elevate your blood pressure even higher. And so when you're pregnant, you're high. Well, not everybody's, but you tend to be a little higher.
So
and you're like,
my doctor, I'm like, oh my gosh, it has phenylephrine in it. I'm an idiot. I can't believe that I caved. Like, if I was going to do this, it should have been after the doctor's appointment. So she's like, they rechecked it right there, and it was better, Good. But they were like, and I had, I was having like non-stress tests and stuff, and I had a non-stress test the next day. And so they were like, well, you're going to have your blood pressure checked again tomorrow. So like, we feel safe sending you home, and sure enough, it was fine the next day. It was just that isolated thing. But I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Like, I know better than that. Stupid. So I told IPs this too, I told them everything. Cause I literally did not want to take, I didn't even want to take that Zofran. I didn't want to take anything. Anyways, so I was like, Sarah, you're such a big fat baby. You can't even pull that on a cold.
No.
I just could not.
No, I get it. It gets irritating, especially when you're pregnant. You can't take a lot of stuff. But so then because I know we have something big coming up in your story, right? With the birth.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of good.
Mom, you have a question?
No, why were we induced? We didn't go after.
I was going to be like, so was it planned?
It was a planned induction. I knew from the start because I am 36 years old. So for advanced maternal age and IVF, kind of those combination, there are, having multiple risk factors for preeclampsia, which I knew I really wanted to avoid because I wanted to do another journey. Yeah. But mostly it was the advanced maternal age thing. If it had been IVF alone, that wouldn't have been indication enough. But so this is another one of those things. Being a researcher, I went deep diving in. I wanted to see the statistics. Like, is it really that much of a higher like occurrence of stillbirth once you're 30?
Right.
I mean, and the data is
really, it supports it.
Wow, it does support it. In fact, once you hit 40, it's a very dramatic increase. So I was like, okay, I can feel comfortable with this. It's fine with my girls. I only went to 36 weeks and 5 days. I had to be induced with them for other indications. And so with this one, I was like, well, this is 3 weeks more pregnant than I've ever been. Like, it's fine. Yeah. There were I was having a lot of Braxton Hicks at this point, but like labor was like my cervix was so long. I was nowhere.
Oh.
It wasn't happening anytime soon. So I was like, well, this is fine. Yeah. So I was induced for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so how did delivery go?
Okay. So this is where I absolutely divine intervention comes into play. So I'm a labor and delivery nurse. I delivered on my unit, which means, of course, like I'm going to pick my team and stuff. And, I wouldn't ask somebody to come in, although my best friends on the unit, I know they would have come in for me, but it just so happened that one of my very best friends on the unit who nurses very similarly to me has just like really holds that same space for birth that I do. I trust her absolutely with my birth. She happened to be on, so that's like coincidence, number one.
Yep.
And the doctor came around in the morning. Oh, so we timed the induction based on when my doctor was going to be on call. That was the whole thing. She works for a clinic and she's got her own kids and families, so she doesn't like come in unless like it's her time,
Sure.
And that's fine. I totally respect that. So first I have like my nurse that I absolutely love and adore. Then it's the day that, things are like starting to get a little bit crampy and it's my doctor's on call. So this is like great. Right. And I also happen to train our volunteer doulas, and one of them came into the room, not realizing it was me. And she's like, "Hi, this is the doula, Kate." And she's like, "Oh, it's you." So then and we don't have a volunteer doula every day, every shift. So coincidentally, I get this, free volunteer doula services whom I've trained. So that's fun.
Wow.
And then, so like all these pieces are coming together, right? Like there was somebody who we have what's called a baby nurse who attends all the deliveries. It's another labor and delivery nurse. Well, the one who was supposed to be there had gotten called off for the day. And the one who took her place is one of my other best friends on the unit. Total coincidence, was not pre-planned at all.
Wow.
Okay. So my doctor comes around in the morning and like I had been on the pill misoprostol to try to like start things. It wasn't doing a whole lot.
Okay.
A little bit. It did a little bit. And so she's like, "Well, how do you feel about me stripping your membranes? And we can talk about putting in like a cervical dilating balloon. That's called a Cook catheter." And so I'm like, "Let's just do it. Come on, let's do it. Let's get the show on the road. I've already been here, 12 hours, like whatever."
Oh my gosh.
And well, maybe not quite 12, but anyways, so she strips my membranes. She puts in the balloon, catheter dilating balloon. And she's like, "How do you feel if this other doctor that she works with comes in and breaks your water when the balloon falls out?" And I was like, She's like, "It's okay. I totally get it. Like, that's fine, I was like, "Well, what about the midwife, Cheryl? Cheryl's a friend of mine who covers for a different group. She doesn't work with my doctor specifically. My OB group that I go to doesn't have midwives, but there are other groups at my hospital that have privileges that do have midwives." Cheryl's also a friend of mine. And so she was like, "Yeah, let me talk to her." So Cheryl had agreed. And so speed things up, X number of hours later, the balloon falls out. Cheryl comes in to break my water and I'm 5 centimeters. So it was totally awesome. And then things ramp up because that's how my labors go. You pop the bag and I'm one of those, like, it's going to get hard and fast. And so it was really important to me to have an unmedicated birth because with my twins, I experienced what I felt and perceived as a lot of coercion. Before I found out I was pregnant with my twins, I thought like, I might even have a home birth. I felt very natural. Like I felt like a lot of stuff that happened in the hospitals, especially where I used to work, because I did not have my twins where I work now. Okay. This other hospital I used to work at felt everything was very medicalized. Everything was like, everyone's on continuous IV fluids, strapped to the bed. If you want to have a natural childbirth, like no one's in there helping you. You got to do it all on your own. The nurses just like, they didn't like, that never sat right with me. So when I started working at this hospital I'm at now, I've been there for 9 years. It's such an amazing place, an incredible place that just really truly empowers women and just like believes in supporting their birthrights. And it's a dream come true where I work. Yeah. And so I really felt like I needed to take that back because I remember coworkers when I was pregnant with my twins saying things like, "You're going to get an epidural, right?" Because nobody wants the inconvenience of monitoring somebody with 2 babies while they're up and moving around. I'll just say it how it is. Nobody wants to take care of twins anyway. They certainly don't want to take care of you when you're trying to have a vaginal delivery and it's your first babies and you're trying to go unmedicated. They just don't. It's an ugly thing. It's hard. It's because it's hard. It's not because they don't want to take care of you as a person. It's hard.
Right.
But you're also getting paid, and sometimes that's your job to do that.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Why, like, monitor you? Like, they would have to, like, stay with, because, like, I've only ever had epidural, so I'm stuck in the bed and I have the things on my belly and, like, but, like, do you have to have the things on your belly if you're unmedicated, like, the whole time?
When you have twins, you do.
When you have twins. Okay.
And they were late pretermers. So you have a preterm situation. So you have risk factors that require continuous monitoring. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. And that's a lot because you move, the monitors move, the babies are off the monitor. It's a nightmare, to try to
put them back on. Yep.
I totally get it. I have the perspective of the nurse. I totally understand. Okay. But it felt very much like I'm making decisions to appease the care model, not because that's what I truly want.
Right. Yeah.
Fine. I mean, with my girls, I went from 2 to 10, 5 hours, pushed them out in 30 minutes. I had a great epidural. It was fine. The point was that I didn't feel like I got to really make my decisions, even though my doctor actually had said, you can have an unmedicated if you want. She had twins herself, her baby's number 4 and 5. She's like, but if that baby B is still breech, I might have to reach up there, unmedicated.
Yeah.
To pull the baby out by the I was like,
Lordy.
Exactly.
Yeah. No thanks.
Well, maybe it probably is the best thing for me to have a block.
Yeah.
Girl. Yeah. I was like, it probably is the right thing. It's just, I didn't appreciate that. I felt coerced by my peers.
Yeah.
I didn't feel safe.
For sure. Yeah.
Making those decisions.
And you're in a vulnerable situation anyway. You just want
and I was young and all these things.
Yeah.
So that is why I really wanted with this surrogate baby to have an unmedicated birth. And it was important to me to have the people in my room that were going to support that I have a nurse who was competent and comfortable and really, quite frankly, excellent at managing unmedicated births, people that were familiar with equipment. I had a TENS unit on. Do you guys know what a TENS unit is?
Wow. Cool.
It's little electrical patches, and they send an electrical impulse. And the idea is that you put it like on your back during labor, and it sends like they call it a noxious stimuli. And so then your brain doesn't perceive the pain in the front or like back labor the same because of this other stimulation. Huh. And so
does it hurt in the back? Does it hurt?
It's very tingly.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just a tingly electrical stimulation. Yeah. So I had my TENS unit on. I've got music on. I've got the lights dim. I have like a projector on with stars. I mean, it's full ambiance. It was incredible. It was like textbook. So the midwife had broke my water at like 5, and I started going pretty fast. And next thing you know, I'm starting to involuntarily push because that's what happens. You can't tell somebody without an epidural not to push. So right away, the nurse gets on the phone and calls the doctor, but she had been at the office, which is 20 minutes away. Oh. And so she gets in the car and is racing over, and my nurse called the midwife to say, hey, the doctor's on the way. Would you mind just like standing in just in case? Mm-hmm. And so Cheryl, again, who's my friend who like I used to train the doulas with, who I trained other nurses in labor support with, because she used to work with us before she became a midwife, ends up being the one to help the mom catch the baby.
Oh, how fun.
So beautiful. Like they, sometimes you guys might remember in a vaginal delivery, like a lot of times, like they'll put your legs up, they take apart the bottom part of the bed. Yes. There was none of that. The bed is totally intact. Yeah. They couldn't have gotten me to move if they wanted to. I was like,
good. Yeah. Good for you.
But that was something that was part of our birth plan, that it was like, hey, if it works out and the baby's doing well, like I would love, for the mom to be able to catch her baby. Wow. And like we talked about that in our match meeting. Gosh. And it came to fruition. And it's like that all the things would align, that I would have that the doula would be there, that Cheryl, my midwife friend who doesn't even call for that group would be able to deliver, help deliver this baby and help the mom. And it was just like the right kind of, it was such a healing environment for me from going where I felt like an inconvenience for having twins to this really super like powerful healing birth experience that was everything that I needed it to be. It was incredible. Yeah.
It was a redemption birth.
It absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard other surrogates say that too, that like they had birth traumas from, and I don't know that I would say I had birth trauma, but just some negative experiences
Right.
and I only have my twins. I don't have another birth experience, so I really was hopeful that this would happen, and it did. And
That's so cool.
it was incredible.
That's
awesome.
where's the dad when mom's catching baby?
Okay. Great question. So he would have loved to not be in the room.
Oh,
he would have loved to have been like out in the waiting room.
no.
But the mom was like, no, you're gonna be here. So he was very happily behind a curtain.
Okay.
But what's really cool is the doula had, I had asked her to take pictures and videos on my phone.
Aw.
And so I thought that would be like, just pictures and videos of like the actual birth happening. But I think what happens when it's not a nurse taking the pictures and videos is people get a different lens. So this was really cool. Aww. She got like a little video of the midwife setting up the tools. She kind of just like other things in the room that were really neat that like I wouldn't have thought to do. And so at one point she peeks behind the curtain. The curtain is closed. Yeah. But the intended father is like 6 inches from the curtain staring straight at it.
Oh my gosh.
Like you can see like just like
he's waiting for a cry. Like
so
he's
nervous.
Waiting, right? He's waiting to hear that cry. Yeah.
And this is like, I want to say that view that she got was maybe like 5 or so minutes before the baby was born. So he was behind there just like, probably super anxious waiting for his baby girl to be born. And so so he was behind. So after baby came out, I didn't even open my eyes. Like I just had this intense, unmedicated delivery. And I remember at one point saying to myself, like, Sara, reach down and touch the baby, because they didn't put the baby on me. It was, right. Mom. And actually the mom like dried and stimulated the baby off herself. It was for reference. She is in healthcare. And so there's, she was comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
And so, it was a total dream come true to be with these IPs. And so, I remember I like kind of touched her little foot, and she's wailing away. So they, the mom cut the cord and they went and immediately did skin to skin. And they were in the room with me. They had offered, the IPs, do you want to have your own private space for bonding? And the room that we were in was fairly large. And so I was still able to have like, privacy while they were doing repair or whatever privacy is worth at that point. Yeah. And the intended father didn't have to see anything behind the curtain. Like there's a comfortable seating area for that. And so they went immediately like skin to skin with the baby. And I remember I just like didn't even move for like an hour.
Oh, but you're getting to hear what's going on over there. Aww.
Yeah. But I kind of just like went to Mars for a minute, this out of body experience.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. That's and cool. The placenta came out fairly easy. I did have a little bit of gushing right away. So I was worried, like, am I going to hemorrhage? Because again, like already knowing I wanted to do another journey. Yeah. And so at this point, I don't have IV fluids running because I was unmedicated and I wasn't on Pitocin because they brought water and I just went, And so I just, my friend gave me, there's a couple different shots that we do to stop bleeding and that took care of it.
And that took care of it. Okay.
Thankfully, yes. Yeah. But then I couldn't they want you to pee after. Yeah. Yeah. And my uterus was kind of starting to deviate. And so I was talking about like, I needed to drain my bladder, but I couldn't pee. Right. Aww. Like they got me up to the bathroom to try and I just like couldn't pee. Yeah. And so since my uterus was off to the side, that usually means like that you need to pee. And so the nurse did have to do a straight catheter, which is like the catheter goes in, they drain the bladder and then they take it out. And that sucked unmedicated.
Yeah. Right. Sucks unmedicated. Big time. Sucks.
Going through transition was better than that.
Oh.
But it's so brief. It's like.
It is, but it's still happening. You're like,
it just like burns.
Yeah.
It's the worst. That happened with my birth with my son.
Oh,
like my epidural was worn off and they wouldn't let me get up to go to the bathroom. I had this old lady and I was 20 and I swear she took advantage of me because I was young and my mom made us stay. It's a whole story. But
yeah.
she put a catheter in me because she was like, "You can't get up and walk." And I was like, "Yes, I can. I can literally I'm shaking my legs. I can do things." She shoved it. I mean, shoved it. And it hurt so bad. I've had all my babies at that hospital and every single time I go, I'm like, "I don't want her."
Oh,
They're like,
God.
"Okay."
Oh,
I was so mad. I would rather have a baby unmedicated. It is
It's
awful
horrible.
feeling.
yeah,
She didn't want to walk you to the bathroom. She didn't want to take the extra
No, I
time
know
to
she
walk
didn't
you
want
in
to.
there and walk you back. Yeah, she wouldn't do it.
what about a bedpan?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
would have done anything.
she
But
wouldn't do
she
it.
didn't. She was very old and she was not with it. She was like, "I don't like you." And I was like, "Okay, whatever."
Yeah. Too
So,
young, not
Go
married, that whole
retire.
thing. Yeah.
yeah. She has now. But yeah, I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh.
Ugh.
That's
Okay,
awful.
so
So
that
that was like the
brutality's
worst.
over. Yeah. Okay. And so then what happens? Like you stay. Is your husband there? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my
Okay.
gosh. Yes. Like,
Okay.
how could I forget to talk about the rock in my life? He was just
Oh.
amazing. He was everything I needed. And, you know, we teach in like our labor support classes, like how powerful it can be to just have like hand holding. And I always kind of wondered, like, is that really that therapeutic in an unmedicated birth? I don't know. It absolutely was. Like at one point, my eyes were closed and I knew he was there, but I remember reaching out looking for his hand. Yeah, it was very therapeutic. So
Oh.
he was just amazing, endlessly supportive, doing whatever I needed. Like I felt so safe with him there.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
So sweet.
Yeah.
Oh my
So how long
gosh.
y'all stay together? Just that first golden hour, or do they get their own?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait,
So it's like about 2 hours.
you
Okay.
had that we didn't talk about that funky word.
Oh, the velamentous cord. Okay, yeah. Yeah. So yes. So when the midwife delivered the placenta, um, should they kind of take it to the side after they do whatever they're gonna do, and then she like lifts it up and it's like, oh, because remember, she's the one who broke my water
Yeah,
earlier.
right.
And there's nothing in my prenatals or any of the ultrasounds or anything that mentions like that you have this, you know, velamentous cord insertion. And again, the risk factor there being that if you break that water or the water breaks on its own, where those vessels are, it's going to rip through those arteries and those veins. And you're going to just pour out blood through the placenta. And that's not getting to the baby and it's leaving your body rapidly because maternal cardiac output is so high. And so, by the grace of God, when she broke my water, it was not in that spot. So it was kind of just like a ignorance is bliss.
Yeah. Another
Yeah.
divine intervention for you. Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Because that's, you know, that's the most effective way for me for my labors to move forward is the rupturing of the membranes. But
Yeah.
like that's something we are very careful about when we know that somebody has one of
Right.
these cord
Right.
insertions, but we don't know.
Yeah.
And again, and it was the midwife there, not the doctor, because the midwife can't do C-sections. Like if something had happened, you know. So,
Whoa. Yeah. Oopsie. Yeah, you had a lot of
exactly.
You
a
had
lot
a
of
lot
hands
of-
on you right there. Yeah,
Yeah.
you did.
Oh man,
Woo.
I felt like I had a guardian angel. It was one of those like, that's
Seriously.
really cool, and I'm glad it's out of me now.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's cool. Would not have been cool for me to know on the inside.
Right.
Right. And
No.
thank goodness you didn't, because like
Wow.
cheapers.
I would have been anxious, you know,
Yeah.
unnecessary
Oh,
anxiety.
for sure.
And that's not helpful.
Mm-mm.
No.
Yeah, for anybody, because the IPs
Yeah.
too, having like medical backgrounds and stuff, probably
Yeah.
would have, you know,
Yeah.
Right.
you just make yourself anxious about anything
For sure.
if you try. Yes, so that was kind of a neat finding.
Okay.
I'll just leave that at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how long are you in hospital? Do you get to go home with, I think you had 24? When do you get to go home?
So the next morning I delivered at 4:56 p.m. Obviously was there overnight. Nobody's getting discharged in the middle of the night. And by 8:30 in the morning, the doctor came around the next morning. I was like, "You good to go home?" I was like, "Yeah, I think so."
Oh, cool.
I had a little delay going home because I needed to get RhoGAM because I'm Rh negative.
Okay.
So my blood type is I'm O negative. And so that took a little while because like the blood bank has to prepare it and the nurse had to come back and give it. But in the
Yeah.
meantime, I just went out and hung out with the IPs. I was handling
Aw.
dressing, so I brought them whatever colostrum I had.
Aw.
So it wasn't too bad. My kids were at school anyway, so
Oh, good.
it was fine.
There you go.
So yeah, as soon as that was done, I um just my husband and I went home, and on the way home, and I actually haven't even heard the song since. The Ring of Fire song came on.
Oh my
It was
God.
the first song that came on when we
No
started.
way.
So funny. It was like,
That's
okay,
hilarious.
this is weird.
That's
hilarious.
funny. That's funny.
hilarious.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. It was a good.
Have you seen the IPs or baby since?
Yeah, so about a week later, because my girls didn't get a chance to meet the baby in the hospital, the IPs stayed for 24 hours and then they went back home because they live fairly close. So
Yeah.
a week later, they invited us to their house for the girls to be able to meet the baby. And
Sweet.
yeah, and I have some family that lives like within like 45 minutes or so of where the IPs are at. So we basically, on the way to go see my family, we had stopped
Oh,
and hung
that's
out with them for a
sweet.
little bit. And then they had us over again for the Chinese New Year. That was
Aw.
very special.
That's cool.
Aw.
I got to see the baby again then. And they send me pictures probably like every 3-ish weeks or so, I would say.
Aw, that's
So
really
I've
sweet.
been able to like at least on the month mark, they'll send me like her little, they have one of those cute blankets where it has
Yeah.
like, her name on it. And then like the baby lays down on it and there's like a little heart or something over how many months she is.
Yeah, very cute.
They send me her little, she's got a couple teeth already.
Wow, that's early. 6 months. Jeez.
Super cute. Yeah, I know my kids think 9 months, but yeah.
Wow.
So it's been really sweet. I mean, and I was still pumping for them all this time. So
Yeah.
like still talking, even not just like coordinating breast milk stuff, but just that kind of ongoing
Yeah.
relationship there.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
What is something that like you would give advice to for someone, besides your amazing idea to put in the fourth degree tear and the
Yeah.
pelvic floor therapy
pelvic
because
floor,
I'll
yeah.
steal that from now on.
Yeah. Everyone always says do your research, but I feel like that's just too broad. It's really asking multiple surrogates for their, first of all, it's listen to every episode of this podcast because then I like
Sweet.
glean and take down all the different like negative experiences that each of us have had and like build off of that and research from there, but I feel like when you say research, it's so overwhelming because you Google surrogacy and you just get all these like the top paying ads and stuff, right?
Right.
I felt like having something like Surrogacy was instrumental to my psychological safety throughout my journey.
Yeah.
Having somebody that was separate from the agency, that was knowledgeable and strictly advocating on my behalf.
Yeah.
Like somebody that I could go to say like, is this right? Like, is this fair? Does this make sense? Should I be looking for something else? What does the industry?
Yeah.
I think people need to familiarize themselves with what the ASRM guidelines are,
Yeah.
what truly are the industry standards, so that if you find yourself with some agency that's below those standards, like, and some of the things are like a range, like life insurance, the industry standard is 250,000 to 750,000. That's a huge range.
A huge difference.
Like, are you going with an agency that's like bare bottom of all of those things?
Right.
I would say if you are pumping, that you need to consider the value of your time. I wouldn't change a thing with these IPs. They were absolute dream come true. I will absolutely be asking for significantly more for pumping next time.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's
Underestimated, right?
It's a lot. It's a lot that you have to do. It's a lot.
It's a 24/7 gig. It is. Think about it. You're up a lot every 3 hours, every 4 hours, and then you wean. That's a big
You gotta
deal
clean.
too.
It's a lot of your time.
Cleaning, packing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's one thing I would say is, because the IPs are supposed to reimburse you for any expenses that are related to pumping and all of that stuff, is ask for a bottle washer, like a washer.
Nice.
I don't know how much time washing bottle parts and pumping parts, and I would very much not, or like to have not been doing that.
Right.
For all the other time that I'm giving towards this, to just have had one less thing to do, like it just kind of blows my mind how many times I washed bottles.
Right.
I'm sure.
You don't have a baby in your home.
I don't even,
Right.
So it would be to reach out to some kind of, I know there are other advocacy groups. It's like Surrogacy is one. I know that there's a couple others, but look for those surrogate advocate groups. There is on Facebook, there's a page. It's like US Surrogate Industry Reviews, US only something. I can't remember what it's called exactly. But, if you're looking for like a support group, I would say, and I know you feel this way, Kennedy, like be careful about the Facebook groups. But if it's strictly like reviews, really digging into, if you're with an agency that doesn't have reviews, just don't go there. You don't need to be the guinea pig.
Or if an agency only has positive reviews and you can't find a negative one, it's not true. Sorry, it's not. They're paid. They're paid to write them. Like,
especially if they're all like within a short period of time.
Yep.
Right. You're like, okay, they just asked like 20 people to write a review for them. Yeah. Yes, exactly. So I mean, it's hard. I think it's really hard if you're just coming at this innocently, just wanting to do the right thing, not knowing where to start. I feel very lucky and fortunate that I had a friend who had gone before me to be that resource, to kind of tell me some of the things that were highs and lows in her surrogacy journey for me to fall back. I feel like that was instrumental. So I think like avenues like this for people to listen to, I think are also super important.
And you said a little phrase, psychologically, my psychological safety. That I think is huge. I don't think we talk about mental health a lot, but when you phrased it like that, make sure that's on your top 5. You need to feel psychologically safe wherever you are going to go.
You need to listen. Like we talk about like women and our intuition, and like if there's any other time, this is the time to listen to it. And I always thought I was like pretty good at doing that, but look I let myself go on with this first agency for 3 months too long.
Right.
From the start.
Wow.
First all over their intake form, misspellings, run-on sentences, just bad stuff. It was like,
yikes.
I don't know.
You have to, and you have to feel psychologically safe with everyone who's involved in your journey. Like there are people in the industry that I will not work with that don't even have anything to do with surrogates. If you're a part of my journey, I'm not going on it with you. And if that means I'm not matched, and it's happened in the past, that means I'm not matching with these IPs because they're working with that person. I'm not matching with these IPs. Like, that's unfortunate, but been there, done that, don't need it again.
Right?
It's hard.
Absolutely. You have to protect ourselves that way, or we're firsthand, Kennedy, how those psychological aspects come out actually pathophysiologically in our bodies, and have negative effects on like actually physical things happening,
right? And can negatively affect the baby, like while you're pregnant. That's not good. Right. There's a lot that goes into this. It's just not getting pregnant and having this baby. There's so much that goes into it. So much. Oh gosh. Wow. You have been a wealth of information.
Seriously. This is so fun.
I could just talk to you all night. I know you got to go. You got your kids, but I'm like, wait.
Right. And I talk too much. I'm a big.
No, you don't. No. Everything that came out of your mouth was like, I'm like waiting for the next sentence. I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
No, it's all been so crazy informative, and like, I hope we continue to talk to you on Friday Facts. Like, you're so fun to talk with, and like and I know my mom loves having another nurse involved.
Oh gosh, you know way more than I do. Woo! Man.
Different things, my husband's a NICU nurse, so he comes home with like, I thought I knew a lot of things. Like, he tells me so many things.
Oh my gosh, look at you guys just helping all the babies.
Yeah. That's so fun.
That's so fun.
Aw.
Pretty awesome.
I love that. Wow, we should get him on here.
Okay, so I asked him because you had put up
We do.
Like, if you're
we have one person signed up. I'm like, all right, hold up, buddy. We're gonna wait.
My husband goes, you can speak on my behalf. I said, no, they're not looking to hear from me. They want to hear your perspective from you. And he was like, and no. He's so introverted.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's all right.
Okay. We are hoping to get that done this year. Like, there's a couple girls that are like, I think he'll want to do it. And I'm like, don't pressure him. Like, it's okay. Yeah. Like, if they don't, I think once we actually do one episode with some, then others will be like, oh, wait. Like, I feel like the wives are going to be like, you have to listen. And then they're going to be like, oh, okay, this isn't as awful and scary as it sounds. Like, these two women aren't crazy. Like
Conversation. I'm probably like the crazy mother-in-law, and she's like the crazy cousin or sister. I don't know, like whatever.
all good.
You'd probably be like, well, they already got their guy. They don't need to hear from me.
Oh,
True. That could be Gotta love men. Gotta love how they can get out of things all the time. I love it. I love it. I know. I tell my husband that all the time. I'm like, you might just have to come in and sit down on this. Like, because you've been on a journey for like a year, like for like 2 years, 3 years, but like haven't really been on the journey. So like listen and ask questions, because you'd be the better question asker in this than me.
Oh yeah. That would be super cool.
Yeah. So I'm like, and plus they might like showing up where there's a dude, not two like women.
Right.
I don't know.
Exactly. You could take my place for that episode. That's fine.
Oh my God, Mom.
Okay.
Well, this has been awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Oh my gosh. That was a lot of your time. That was a lot of your time. We so appreciate it.
It was nothing. Oh, it's already 8:20. It's nothing.
You're very sweet.
We very much appreciate it.
We do. We so do. Yeah.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
It was awesome.
Yeah. Have a great rest of your night.
Yes,
Enjoy your
wonderful
girl.
night.
Okay.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Wow. Impressive.
So fun. I know.
Yes.
I know.
She's a wealth of information. My gosh.
So much. And so amazing. And so well spoken about it all.
Very. Like, yes. Yeah. Didn't sugarcoat anything, just told it like it was, and had a great experience. And I really firmly believe she had some hands on her during that birth and that divine intervention coming in. Like, you can believe what you want, people, but I believe in that stuff. Yes.
100%. Okay, well, we know this is long. So thank you so much, Sarah. If anybody has any questions or stories that they would like to share with us, please feel free to reach out to us on Instagram at Stop.Sit.Surrogate, or feel free to email us at Stop.Sit.Surrogate@gmail.com. And this has been another episode of Stop.Sit.Surrogate with Kennedy and Ellen.
Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to give us a like and subscribe. Also, check out the link to our YouTube channel in the description. And be sure to also check out our children's book, My Mom Has Superpowers, sold on Amazon and Etsy.